Well, I've gotten a lot of requests to do an episode about how I paired my Helix with my Synergy rig, and today's the day I do that. I'm going to cover several topics in this episode. I'm going to show you step by step how I hooked everything up, and then I'm going to show you how I programmed the Helix to control the Synergies, and I'm going to show you how everything sounds. Let's go. I'm really excited to show you guys this rig. I mean, I kind of consider this like the best of both worlds, or I guess you could call it the best hybrid rig. Because what we have on this side is what I consider the most flexible and portable tube option out there. And you pair that with the Line 6 Helix, which in my opinion is the most flexible, easy to use, and feature-packed digital platform on the market. So let's go ahead and get started with me behind the camera showing you how I hooked everything up, how I programmed everything, and a little bit of an in-depth kind of look at what's going on here. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I hooked the Synergy up to the Helix. So on the Helix end, I have effects loop 1 in and out, and I have a MIDI cable hooked to the MIDI out. Okay, so from Helix effects send, you're going to go to instrument in on this guy. From effects return, you're going to go to effects send on this guy. And then from the MIDI out on the Helix, you're going to go to MIDI in on this guy. Okay, so this is how to bridge two Synergy SYN2 units together. You're going to take the MIDI through and hook it to the MIDI in. And you're going to take the FX send and hook it to from amp effects send. And then you're going to go from instrument in to amp in. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I control and switch channels on my Synergy modules. I have two SYN2 units. Each SYN2 unit has two modules in it. Each module has two channels in it. So that's a total of 4 channels per SYN2 unit. In order for one of the modules to be heard, the opposing SYN2 unit needs to be put into bypass mode. I'm going to show you how I do that now. First you hit this button here, and then you go to Command Center, and then you see all your MIDI commands right here. This section here are the commands for the first SYN2 unit. This section here are the commands for the second SYN2 unit. Now you can add more SYN2 units right here, and these would be the commands for those. So this would be SYN2 number 3, SYN2 number 4, so on and so forth. Okay, so as you can see here, SYN2 number 1, which is right here, MIDI channel number 1, is in bypass mode, which is number 5. SYN2 number 2, right here, MIDI channel 2, which is associated with that unit, is in program 0, which means it's the first channel of the first module. So as long as you have one of the SYN2 units in bypass mode, the modules in the other SYN2 unit can be switched to any channel and will be heard. Now if you don't own a Synergy unit, this language is probably going to sound a little strange to you, but for those of you who own Synergy units know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so now let's talk about the signal chain that I use. I use what's called 3-cable method. I'm going to use one cable for MIDI for the switching, and I'm going to use a send and return cable to hook the Synergy up to the Helix through an effects loop block. So as you can see here, this is the effects loop block that I used. It's effects loop number 1. Here's my impulse response, because you're going to treat this just like an amp. This is my amp, so right here is the Synergies. And right here is the speaker cabinet, or the speaker impulse, that's going after that. And then you basically just place your effects before and after the amp like you would any other time. For instance, here is an effects loop block that I use for my overdrive pedal. The reason why I do that is because when I switch to a clean channel, obviously I don't want my overdrive pedal on, so I don't want to have to turn that off every time I switch to a clean, and then when I go back to a dirty channel, turn it back on. So as you can see here, I'm going to switch to a clean channel. Watch what happens with this block. It's bypassed. And I go back to my distortion channel, it's back on. It just keeps things really simple. A lot of people wonder, like, why would you use a effects loop for an overdrive pedal? Well, that's why. it's not technically in an effects loop like behind my amp. It's in front of the amp. That's what's nice about the Helix. I could take this block and put it anywhere I want in the chain, and obviously I'd put it in front of the amp because that's where an overdrive pedal belongs. And as you can see, as I cycle through the snapshots, you're going to see effects turn on and off. So there's chorus and delay for like a bigger kind of rhythm channel. And then there's a lead channel, which turns on a volume boost, and it also turns on a bigger delay. And here's a big lead channel, which will give me reverb. See how it turned that block on? And that gives me a bigger sound for my solos. Now here's a couple of really cool things I'd like to point out about the Helix. Not only do you get the ease of use and all the intuitiveness and the excellent routing and control and effects that it offers, but you also get scribble strips, which you can label any way you want to, and you can also color all of the buttons that are associated with each selection with any color that you want, so that you can easily recognize everything and be able to switch to things very quickly, especially in a live situation. So you know how when you're playing live, you don't have time to second guess, am I pushing the right button for a clean channel or for a solo or a rhythm patch? With the scribble strips and being able to color each switch with a recognizable color that makes sense to you, now there's no more second guessing. You can look and quickly make a selection and know that you're pushing the right button every single time without second guessing yourself. That's a huge thing for me. So when I'm on stage, I never have to worry about tapping the wrong button or second guessing myself when I have a microsecond to change patches for a solo or a clean channel. I know that I'm making the right choice because the scribble strips tell me what choice I'm making, and there's no guesswork involved anymore. Okay, so now let's check out how everything sounds. I mean, there's a lot of options here. I mean, I can use any configuration of the modules that I want, and the Helix really helps me program that stuff very easily. I mean, for instance, I can use the Angel for a rhythm tone and the Ingle for a lead tone, or I can use the Soldano SLO for a lead tone and the Angel for a rhythm tone, or any other configuration that I want. I mean, it's very easy and it's a lot of fun to program, and I really look forward to making changes on it because I know I'm not going to be pulling my hair out trying to figure everything out. It's really super simple. Okay, so if you guys are looking for a rig that's portable, it's compact, it's easy to use, it's actually really fun to use, and it has tons of options and features and legitimate tube tone, this is the rig that I think you should get. And it's very affordable, especially when you consider each one of these amp modules is a legitimate preamp. So, for instance, I mean, you have an Ingle here, and I have 2 channels on it, and it's legitimate Ingle sound. I mean, it's $399. That's a fraction of the cost of an actual Ingle amplifier. So, like I said, when you compare it to what you could be buying to do like a real amp and cab along with, like, you know, all the pedals and the various things, this is a fraction of the cost of all that, and you're going to have more flexibility, more features. It sounds legit, and it actually sounds really good, as you heard in the demonstrations. Well, I look forward to reading and responding to your comments, and tell me what you think of this rig and if you think this is actually the ultimate hybrid rig. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and to all of our subscribers, thank you very much. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and hit the bell so that you can be notified when we come out with new episodes. I got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'll see you on the next one.